Brethren lads, welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a brand new video. Arsenal have contacted Juventus for the signing of Federico Chiesa. They want to know what is it going to take to sign Chiesa. It's around 50 million euros, according to a few publications from Italy, including the Repubblica. But Arsenal have contacted Juve to let them know how much do they need in Federico Chiesa. We'll be talking about Yuri Tillemans was just agreed a deal to join Aston Villa. Is it the right move for Arsenal to snub Yuri Tillemans and focus on Declan Rice? And I want your thoughts here and I want your opinions in the comment box below. Should Arsenal have signed Yuri Tillemans this summer, despite the fact that he has not had a very good year and season at Leicester City? We wanted him. He was a priority for us in the summer, but then it didn't happen. This summer, he was on a free. Arsenal didn't go back and he's now signed for Aston Villa. Such a quality signing for them. I want your thoughts and I want your opinions. Do you think Arsenal made a mistake here? And still in that conversation, let's add one more bizarre player and one more bizarre mention, Mason Mount. So Arsenal interested in Mason Mount. Of course, he's it looks like he will be going to Manchester United, but Mikel Arteta thinks that if there is any single opportunity that he can sign him, he would love to bring Mason Mount at the Emirates Stadium. So Mason Mount, Yuri Tillemans, and Declan Rice. You have to pick one in the comment box below. You only have to write the name. If it's Mason Mount, just write Mason Mount. If it is Rice, just write Rice. And if it's Tillemans, just write Tillemans. And I want your thoughts. Who is the better player here in terms of playing in that Ike Gundogan role, right? Beckers is quite physical, fast, quick, and very, very intelligent. Mason Mount, in my opinion, is very intelligent as well, very physical, and runs a lot. Tillemans not very physical, and at times his awareness on the ball is questionable. But in terms of quality in the final third, he's by far the better player. If there was one player in the Premier League that I would suggest that replaces Ike Gundogan, it would definitely be Yuri Tillemans. But I want your thoughts there in the comment box below. Odegaard named as Arsenal Player of the Year. I'll give you my reaction to that. And Xavi Simons is yet to decide on his future. It could be Arsenal, it could be PSV, it could be Paris Saint-Germain, right? Let's get this video to 500 likes. Let's have all our comments in the comment box below. And let's get the party started. Now, according to the Repubblica in Italy, Arsenal have contacted Juventus for a potential move for Federico Chiesa. Now, they're saying that Arsenal and Newcastle are interested in Federico Chiesa, who's 25 at the moment. And they're saying the Gunners have already asked Juventus about the cost of a potential move. I've been reading a very extensive article on football.london. Yeah, I know where you stand when it comes to credibility with Football.London, but this was not more of a transfer link. It was more of an analysis on Federico Chiesa, and they had partnered up with a very intelligent Italian journalist. And literally, it was more of an insight into Federico Chiesa's game and the injuries he has actually suffered ever since the Euros. And it's look. I think the big question here with Federico Chiesa is how has he coped up with the injury, and especially when after coming back, how is he doing? And the Italian expert was saying that Federico Chiesa is literally on his foot. He's come back very strong. He's scoring goals. Is taking on players 1v1, and there is a high possibility that he's going to get back to the levels that he's been playing on in the next season. However, what Federico Chiesa doesn't want is the defensive nature of Max Allegri at Juventus. He would love a team that is plays attacking football, is explosive, and gives him that ability and chance to take risks and take on players in the final third. And that is why he wants to leave Juventus. So there is a really big feeling that Chiesa is going to be leaving this summer. Juventus it's being quoted again that Juventus will be asking around 50 million euros. They would love to get a lot of money from his sale just to cover for the losses they have made over the past few years. And I think 50 million euros for Federico Chiesa, if he had not suffered that injury halfway the season, it would have been great money. But I still expect this one to go down as low as 35 million euros. Or if any club agrees to pay 45 million euros for Federico Chiesa, it could be one of those deals where It's 45 million euros, but paid across 3, 4, 5 years, right? So that is where we stand with Federico Chiesa. The analysis on the player is that the injury he suffered actually means nothing to him. He wants to get back to levels. He wants to get back to his levels, but he doesn't see Juventus as the real team and the real club to do that, especially with Max Allegri as manager. Now, I'll take Chiesa at Arsenal. There's no question there. Can play on the left, can play on the right. And I think he has so many things that Arsenal do not have in our attackers. Number one is relentlessness. I think I've seen Gabriel Martinelli give up so many times in games. Like, he just gives up and you just want to take him off the pitch. I've seen Saka give up in games as early as 30 minutes, 40 minutes, especially the last 11 games of the campaign. We've seen him give up. Now, there are players that have that quality of being relentless. I would think of Messi. Messi is quite a relentless player. I would think of Ronaldo. Ronaldo is quite a relentless player as well. Never rests. I would think of Santi Cazorla. It doesn't matter how many goals you're trailing by. He's always running and he's always trying to create something. That is Federico Chiesa. Now, I think the best picture of him the world of football has is at the Euros, the recent Euros that Italy have won, beating England. That is the Chiesa that everybody knows, and that is the real Chiesa. That is the guy that runs 90 minutes. That's the guy that takes on any defender, any centre back, any fullback in the world without fear, and he doesn't care. He literally just doesn't care. He's aggressive. He's an absolute beast. The problem with the Chiesa deal, and this has been highlighted still with in that interview with Football to London, is that if you signed him for 50 million and you brought him at Arsenal, he might overtake Saka, right? Or he might look to overtake Saka. He would be very good competition for Bukayo Saka, but I think the understanding here is that Chiesa wants a club where he's a starter. He wants to go to a club where he's guaranteed to start. Around Europe, with the big boys, that might be a little bit difficult, right? You look at the amount of wingers Chelsea have. You look at the amount of wingers Arsenal have. Nelson, Saka, Martinelli, Trossard, and then Gabriel Jesus can also play on either wing. You look at Barca with Rafinha and Dembele and Ansu Fati as well on their hands. There's so many other players as well. So it might be difficult for Federico Chiesa to go, I want to start right away as a new signing. And if he wants to do that, then clubs like Newcastle are going to be the real destination. Because with Newcastle, I think he's better than, like, miles better than Miguel Almiron. He's miles better than Alan Saint-Maxima. And he's also miles better than Anthony Gordon. So if he goes to Newcastle, he's definitely up there with the likes of Bruno Guimaraes in terms of importance and in terms of pedigree and in terms of, experience. I would love Chiesa. 50 million euros for me is no money. Like, literally no money. Arsenal should be able to spend 50 million euros on a player like Chiesa. But does this start? Can we guarantee him, regular football? I think we can. But to start every day ahead of Saka, ahead of Gabriel Martinelli, ahead of Trossard, probably not. Okay? And that's not because he's not better than them. He's definitely better than any winger Arsenal have. Like, to be honest, Chiesa is better than any winger in that team. But I think there is that kind of loyalty that Mikel Arteta has shown his players. And that's why you've seen Saka doesn't get benched. Saka doesn't even get substituted. Gabriel Martinelli has retained his starting 11 position, despite the fact that Trossard has been immense as a signing, okay? So Chiesa, maybe not the guy for Arsenal. Right? I think we need someone who's going to, upload Saka on the bench and come in when Mikel Arteta feels Saka needs some kind of rest. I don't think Saka signing that 195k deal per week will see him sit on the bench when an explosive player that Chiesa signs. But I would definitely want him at Arsenal. Now let's talk about the next ridiculous thing that has happened today, and that is Arsenal allowing Aston Villa to sign Yuri Tillemans on a free. Look, he was our priority last summer. In central midfield, Arsenal have had two key priority targets that have now signed for another club on a free. Number one is Houssem Owa, who was signed for Roma on a free. Like, that is such a steal, right? I think Houssem Owa could play for many top clubs around Europe. And the second one is Yuri Tillemans. It's just been confirmed by David Onstein that Aston Villa have agreed a deal with Tillemans. And the Aston Villa website and Twitter handle as well have also confirmed that it's official. Tillemans will join them after a medical. We have decided to let Tillemans go and sign Rice. And fight for Rice and Mason Mount. With Declan Rice, I understand. I think the game, the attributes of the game that he has, Tillemans doesn't have. The awareness of his space, awareness on the ball, ability to retain possession, and physicality. And of course, the defensive part of the game. Dekas has a lot of that, okay? And probably he would be that kind of shield to Martin Odegaard. Whenever Odegaard tries something, brilliant, and it doesn't happen, there is a fullback position. That is Declan Rice. But Mason Mount, Arsenal are sounding out Mason Mount while Yuri Tillemans signs for Aston Villa. That will never make sense to me. Like, it will really never make sense to me. Mason Mount is quite an intelligent player. Like, quite intelligent, right? And I think he's very, very fast. It's one of the aspects, again, of his game that I like about him more than Tillemans and more than Declan Rice. He's a quick player. It doesn't take him a lot of time to run from box to box. It doesn't take him a lot of time to think on the ball. And I just love those runs of him, very quick runs into the penalty area. I love them. But Mason Mount over Yuri Tillemans, no one would ever think of that. Like, no one would ever do that in their life. And it's just the way it is. Like, it's just the way it is. I think what Mikel has decided here is he wants a homegrown player in midfield because he's going to have Odegaard and maybe Caicedo or Partey. So he wants a homegrown English player in midfield. That is number one. He wants a physical player. And with Mason Mount, I don't think you easily bully him off the ball, right? So he's got that, good work ethic. He's kind of physical and is very, very reliable as a player. Maybe not as good as Tillemans in the final third. Because with Tillemans, what you get are those deliveries. What you get are those through balls. What you get is that quality delivery on corners, on free kicks. I don't think we even have a free kick taker, honestly. But look, Tillemans has gone to Aston Villa. It's a shame. It's an absolute shame. I would have loved him at Arsenal. I would have seen him on a free. We could have given him 100,000 per week, and we could have signed Declan Rice for whatever amount of money, and still sign Caicedo because he's on a free, right? All we did have to do is free up some wages, and then he's gonna be leaving at some point in time after his injury works out well and he gets a club. Jorginho is gonna leave as well. Lokonga should leave, in my opinion. Nuno Tavares should leave. Keranten is leaving. There's so many players that are gonna leave, and we could have some space for Yuri Tillemans, but he's going to Aston Villa. Doesn't make any sense. However much I love him, he's going to Aston Villa. But probably it comes from that bad and very, very poor season he's had at Leicester. They got relegated. He's one of those players that didn't actually play very well in midway through the season. It's a shame. He's gone. He's really gone. Martin Odegaard yesterday was voted Arsenal Player of the Year. And I thought I would talk about my 5 best players at Arsenal. Number 5, I'll give it to Alexander Zinchenko, who I think has really transformed our backline into a goal-scoring backline, a backline that can create chances. And he's just that kind of link between attack and defense, between defense and attack. He just makes sure that our defense and defensive part of the game is not too delinked from the attack. And he's been phenomenal. One of the best in the world at doing what he does, at inverting into midfield from fullback. At number 4, for me, it's been Gabriel Martinelli. At number 4, he's been absolutely very good. He's been voted as number 3 on the Arsenal website. I don't have a problem with that, but I would put him at number 4. At number 3, definitely, it's William Saliba. Yeah, it's William Saliba. I thought about Saliba going into number 2 ahead of Saka because I think William Saliba's impact has been immense as well. Like, really immense. But because didn't play those 11 games, which Saka also ghosted, I'll just put him at number 3. At number 2, Saka, like he was voted on the Arsenal website. I think Saka's had a mesmerizing season, but not good enough to beat Martin Odegaard. I think Odegaard has been so good this season. I mean, last season we talked about the fact that if he could take more risks, shoot more, be more clinical, and try to thread the balls through at an early stage. Okay, it's a shame that we won't have a player like Ike Gundogan or a player like Kevin De Bruyne, because if we had a player like Gundogan or De Bruyne, it would literally mean that Odegaard becomes a purely creative number 10 for Arsenal, and it would be massive. But in modern football, that number 10 role is gone. I look at Pedri and Gavi at Barca. No one is a typical number 10. You look at Jude Bellingham and whoever's going to be playing alongside him at Real Madrid, whether that's going to be Eduardo Camavinga, maybe as a second 8, whether that's going to be anyone. It looks like in modern football, the idea of a typical number 8 has actually, a typical number 10 has actually died out. And maybe that's the reason as why Arsenal do not actually think James Maddison is a priority. But in my opinion, you get a James Maddison, Odegaard becomes your Gundogan. You get your Gundogan kind of player, then Odegaard becomes your Kevin De Bruyne. But last season, again, phenomenal. Like, really, really phenomenal. Xavi Simons will decide his future very soon. He's been speaking about where he will play next season. He said, at the moment, PSG do not have a manager, so I can't talk to anyone there. And he says, PSV as well, where I'm playing, do not have a manager as well. So I can't talk about staying here because there is no manager that I can talk to. Now, there is interest in Xavi Simons from Arsenal. We are hearing that if Rice goes well and Caicedo deals go well, we might sound out a move for Xavi Simons. But again, this is really hypothetical. There are so many players playing in Xavi Simons' position that Arsenal are interested in and attracted to. But I would love Xavi Simons. He has something different to offer. Quick, brilliant, young. Not physical, by the way. I do like players that are not physical. That's why I really embraced Fabio Vieira, because he doesn't have any physicality to his game. And you will never hear me complaining about Fabio Vieira's physicality. That's not what I want about him. I would prefer the other attributes of his game as compared to his physicality. But anyway, we'll see what happens. We'll talk again tomorrow in the morning. I've had a few good reports on Declan Rice, especially from Alex Crook and Kaya Kainak. We'll be talking about that early in the morning. See you soon.